Hi, parents. Hello. Welcome. Today, I know that it's already Christmas for a lot of you. Depends on where you are. It's Christmas Eve here in the U.S. So, if you do celebrate, Merry Christmas. I hope you will have a wonderful time. If you are not celebrating still, thank you for joining me. Today, I wanted to talk about an interesting topic, and honestly, I think that this is I'm taking a somewhat a controversial stand. I would say I wouldn't be surprised if people will start to give comment that is going against to what I'm about to say. But still, I wanted to share this because I have found this to be a very powerful mindset in dealing with not just parental alienation, but dealing with challenging situation, really. So I know that yeah. Anyway, let's see. I want to make sure before I go on. Hold on. I want to make sure that the audio is working. That you guys can. Sorry. Okay, I think the audio is working. Let me know where you guys calling in from. If you could hear me, okay. Um, and and how have the holidays been for you guys? Has it been more challenging? Are you doing okay? I hope that you're having a good time. Anyway, so yesterday I did an event where we talk about steps that you can use to cope with the holidays, and I asked um, I asked you guys to leave comments, and so I was reading through the comments, and it leads me to what I wanted to talk about today. Um, so the thing is, I'm trying to figure out how to start this because, like I said, this is going to be very controversial. And hi, Niti, thank you for calling from Los Angeles. Kathy from Boston. Hi. Yeah, Niti said holidays are super hard and can't wait for it to be over. Yeah, it's really, really painful, right? Because um, so let's talk about pain. I wanted to talk a little bit about the psychology of pain and loss and what's going on in the dynamic of parental alienation. So the relationship between you and the alienators, it's a dysfunctional relationship, obviously, right? There's a imbalance, there's a power imbalance in that relationship where the alienators, essentially, it feels like the alienators can just do whatever they want to do and get away with it, right? And in the meanwhile, you seem to be helpless and hopeless and not able to take control of the situation and not able to even just get what is your rights, right? So that's that kind of, I think that's the dynamic. And the reason that it is the way it is because there's something that is precious, right? Something that's precious to you in the middle of that relationship, which is your child, right? So while you guys were together, the alienators, the abuser, usually your ex, sometimes it could be other people, they were controlling you in a certain way, and then and there's a chance that you didn't even know that you were abused. Really, a lot of people, they don't recognize, and that's the thing is, as a victim, it's difficult to recognize that you are a victim because of a lot of things, because of gaslighting, because of love bombing, because of a lot of things. So alienators does things to make you question yourself, you question your worth, you question, and then also they keep the abuse just keep going, and they push the boundaries slowly, right? It's something that build up over time, so you start to get used to the behavior, you adjusted to that, right? So you get to this point where you look at the abuser behaviors and you go, oh, that's just how he is, or just how she is, or it's just her culture, or it's yeah, maybe she's just misunderstanding, maybe I'm just being too sensitive. Oh, he's just having a rough day, right? You start to the alienators in your relationship. I'm talking about way before alienation happened with your children. Just the dynamic of the relationship between you two, is that they slowly push this boundary of seeing what is acceptable to you. So all the time you kind of like letting go a little bit and a little bit more and a little bit more. And so the alienators start to get control of your mind. They know that they can get you. They understand. And then once in a while, like when you break down, they will try to catch up with you by love bombing you. They apologize, they promise that things gonna change, that things like that, right? So they do things in a way that keep you just enough in that relationship with them, right? So then eventually something break, and you finally no longer in that relationship with the abuser. And so the abuser still needs that control. They don't want to let go of you, but now that you are no longer in that relationship with them, they still want to control you. So they're trying to grab hold of you using anything that they could. And this is why they will do things like, for example, going to your workplace and then trying to say things that will impacting your people perception of you, or bad mouthing about you and mudsliding campaign, to your friends and your families, because this is things that they can hold on to control you. And when you see that when this parental alienation happen, it usually doesn't just happen with your children. It usually happen, it's usually going on a lot around other people as well, right? So that's the problem. Is so you see that dynamic going on, um and so now your child just happened to be a very convenient weapon, just to be right in the middle of your relationship. It's something that the alienator can get a hold of. It's something that creates so much pain for you because your child is precious to you. Anything that going on with your child, and especially your child and your relationship with your child, right, is precious to you. Alienators know that. And so that's why they know that they can use your child as a weapon against you. And that essentially that's what alienation is about, is where the child is being used as a weapon to harm you. It's not about the child, it's about you. It's about the alienators wanting to control you, wanting to harm you, to hurt you. And the reason why it's so painful for you is because of your love for your children, right? You don't want that to be lost. There's another aspect of the pain and loss that you are experiencing. And I read there are studies that talk about the pain and the suffering that alienated parents, the targeted parents experience. I think they call it ambiguous loss, because there's no closure in that relationship, because you don't know how to mourn for your child. You don't know, you experience this grief, and yet your child is still alive, but the pain is just as badly as losing your child permanently. And then on top of that, like the pain and experiencing, and not just about it's not just about the pain that the alienators do to you. So when you wanted to hurt someone, right, you watching really any kind of movies out there, right? Like, let's say some kind of action hero movies, and you would see that, let's say if you have an evil character that will catch the good guy, right, the hero, and in order to hurt the hero, the evil guy, they don't just beat up the hero. That's I mean, that's painful, but that's not how they truly hurt the hero. And when you watch these movies, you see that the way that the evil characters hurt the hero is by hurting the hero's girlfriend, the hero's mothers, the hero's children, right? Because this is the pain of seeing your loved ones suffer is a lot more painful than you being punched or kicked, right? So that's the alienators know this, and that's why they hurting your children And so for you, the pain is not just losing your children, not just you being attacked, your reputation being attacked, your friends and family, getting these stories about you, but also that you seeing your children suffering. You see that your children are no longer your children. They are growing up with this brainwashing campaign that really shape your children into not very good human being, because the abuser don't care about the well-being of your children. The abuser don't care the suffering that your children are experiencing, and they will continue to suffer for the rest of their lives. So anyway, when you look into advocacy work for alienated parents, the general advice is for parents to say that for alienated parents to just, have this strong conviction and just know that you have your children and everything's good and it's great and it's amazing. And I am one of those people, and I truly believe that, to say to parents and truly to hold on to that conviction. But here's the thing, and like I said, what I'm going to be talking about today is going to be controversial, and it may not be for everyone. So I want to give a little bit of, I guess, precaution, as in this is not professional advice in any way. This is something that I just wanted to present for you to consider for your case. And it may work for you, it may not work for you. I don't want you to take this the wrong way. But anyway, one of the reason why it doesn't work when we keep telling alienated parents that, oh, you should feel powerful, you should feel great that you're going to have your children, and you should have, the reason why it doesn't work is that every day you are facing with the reality, you're being hit constantly with the reality that you don't have your children, that your children is behaving badly to you, that they are cold, that they're not responding to you, that that people are talking bad about you, that you're dealing with false allegations in court, that you go to court, that the judges don't see it, that you go to therapists, that the therapists don't get it. And there are therapists even tell you to apologize to your children for things that you didn't do, right? So every day you are facing with the realities that completely opposite to what we are telling you. We're telling you that you should have this conviction, of this confidence and strength that you have the children and everything's good and everything's great. But the reality is so different, and that's why it's not working so well. Okay, so and in reality is that as human being, we are capable. We have a very sophisticated psychology, like we're able to handle quite a lot, actually. So the reality is that we don't have to give up that conviction. You can still have that, but I wanted to propose something else today, and something else that in reality it can be a lot more powerful than what we have been talking about. And like I said, I'm kind of, it took a lot for me to consider talking about this, because I know that people are gonna attack me on this. Is that I think a very powerful mindset in dealing with this is actually choosing to be okay if you are losing everything. So what I'm trying to say is, if you can have a mindset of being prepared that you will never have your children again, that you are okay with it. I'm not saying that this is an okay situation. I'm not saying for you to give up. This is not it. The point is, if you walk into this fight with this attitude that I'm okay if I will never see my children again, that I'm lost, that it's okay, but I'm gonna not give up the fight. I'm gonna fight as if I have nothing to lose. Now, when you have that attitude that I have nothing to lose, someone that have nothing to lose is the most powerful person ever, because that person, there's nothing to lose. Watch out, because there's nothing, you will stop at nothing in that fight. And so that's the attitude that I want to talk about, because like imagine, right? Let's say it's any kind of dynamic, any kind of situation. Actually, let's say you have a job interview and you are so desperate for the job, right? You're going in, you're gonna be sort of like walking on eggshell. You're not being yourself. You're trying so hard. You're trying to figure out how to say things to please these people to try to get the job, and you're gonna come across so desperate because they can smell it. They can see that you are desperate, that you're not yourself, and you have no power whatsoever in that dynamic, right? But imagine if you go to another job interview where you go, you know what, I don't really need just this job. I have even better job, like I'm gonna be fine no matter what. I don't really care about this job. They want me more than I want them, right? If you walk into that kind of job interview, you're a lot more confident. You have nothing to lose. You're just going to this job interview because you're curious that maybe they can offer something good for you, right? So if you have that kind of attitude that you walk in, that interview is going to be so much different. The same thing now with how you handle the alienator. Now, the alienator have a hold and a control of you because they think that they're holding on something that creates so much pain and suffering for you. But if you're coming with that attitude of, I have nothing to lose and you cannot hurt me anymore, that's when you truly have power. And I want you to take the power back. I'm not saying to give up on your children. I'm not saying this in a way, still have that conviction. It's kind of like prepare for the worst, but hoping for the best, right? And not giving up anything, not giving up the fight. Because when you go in with that attitude, anything that you gain is bonus. And you appreciate any little thing so much more. Like even if your children just respond very coldly, it's still like, oh, that's better than nothing at all. Even if any little bit, it's make it so much better, right? And so this is what I wanted to share with you guys. Like I said, a lot of people might take it the wrong way and thinking that I'm telling parents to give up. This is not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that we are capable of a lot, and you can still have that conviction of knowing that you're going to fight and you're going to get your children back, but at the same time, be okay with losing everything, knowing that you might lose everything. So I was talking to this amazing father recently, and he's a C-level executive, right? And the ex-wife knows this, and she's been sort of dragging him through court and fighting, and 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 this is thing. People keep telling him, you have to believe in this is great and this is good. The problem is he's in so much pain. Is part of it is part of the fear, right? Is the unknown, because we don't know anything that may happen that's actually that's the biggest part of fear, right? Any kind of fear, the fear of unknown is a lot bigger than what you see. So if we just kind of remove all the unknown and just say, let's just accept that I might lose my children completely, right? You remove that, then you can handle this fear a lot better. And then you can face it and go, you know what? Now I'm starting at ground zero. I have nothing. I have nothing, and I have nothing to lose. Now watch me. I'm going to fight like hell. And this is where the power come in. Anyway, like I said, it may not work for everyone. It may not be for you. This is not meant to be advice in any way. I want to share with you how I feel, what works for me and what works for other people. I want you to consider that power dynamic. I want you to understand the psychology of loss and fear and pain so that you could potentially consider this. And if it's worked for you, great. If it doesn't, don't take it. It's not meant for everyone at all. So anyway, I'm going to browse through the questions and comments and then see what we have and see if we can discuss, and let me know what's your thought about this, and have you done this before? So in a way, it's a way of bracing yourself, right? You kind of like prepare yourself for the worst so that when something happens, it doesn't hurt you so badly, but at the same time, it allow you to have strength to fight. And then, like I said, anything that you gain can give you so much more power because you can then appreciate it a lot more, and you can look at that little bit as so much bigger, right? Any gain is a big gain, and that's the point of it. Okay, so let's look at let's see what I can get in terms of comment and question. Okay. Mariska said it's really hard. I think holidays are really, really hard. Yeah, holidays is really, really tough. Tomorrow is Christmas. I mean, today is Christmas in Australia and other places. Tomorrow is Christmas in the US. Tomorrow morning, I am going to do another live event with you guys, and I wanted to talk about gifting, holiday gifting for your children, because obviously during this time, a lot of you guys are dealing with this, right? Because you don't know if you should be sending your children gift, what should you send, whether they're going to get it, and when they do get it, do they throw it away? How should you feel about it, right? And I want it to be a sort of interactive session. So tomorrow, please join me, and I would love to hear your thought about how you're dealing with gifts and things like that. So tomorrow, if you having a great family time, please do. I wanted to be here for those that can't celebrate the holidays like the rest of the society can, right? So I wanted to be here for those of you that need it. But if you have, you know, plan and you have time with your family, great. Please do go and enjoy time with your family. But yeah, tomorrow we're going to talk about holiday gifting for alienated children. Carolyn's calling from Massachusetts. It must be so cold today, right? It must be so snowy and cold today. Kathy said it's just another day. Yeah. Um, for a lot of us. So for me, holidays used to be so sacred and special because I grew up in a horrible, broken childhood. I didn't have anything. I didn't have family. I didn't have holidays or anything. So when I grew up and I have my children, it was a big deal to me to have family traditions, right? I love Christmas. I love Thanksgiving. All these things. I wanted to embrace it, and it's not about Christmas for Christmas so much. For me, it's about creating this family traditions that attach your children to some kind of value kind of things, you know, and bonding with your family and friends. And then so when alienation happened, it actually destroyed everything for me at that point. And I just suddenly felt like holidays didn't mean anything. It was just another day, and if anything, it was actually a worse time. And then eventually I was able to turn my situation around. I got my children back. Things are amazing. And so now holidays are great again. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because for those of you who are experiencing a tough time, I want you to know that it's possible to fight. It's possible to get the children back. And it's possible to get back those precious things that you can't get back the last time, but you can get so much more. You can build so much more, and so much. It can be so much better. It can be so much deeper and more sacred and more precious. So don't give up hope in that sense. Okay, Montana said tomorrow to pick up one of the 4 kids. Only one is brave enough to come, but he's scared and very much under their thumb. How do I help him see it's okay to stand up and do things he wants? Please. Montana, I'm going to assume that he's the youngest one. Let me know if I'm wrong. So usually with parental alienation, when you have multiple children, usually the oldest one get affected the most, and then it's kind of slowly progressing down. And then usually the younger one get sort of spare, and it's a later impact. So sometimes you would have situation where you get the children back, and then yet the younger one slowly, it's sort of like a delay thing. Even when you do have your children back, the youngest one get impacted later. So anyway, I'm just has nothing to do with your question, but I just wanted to comment on that. But okay, so with your child, there's a lot of things, and it's like a whole big session, but I just wanted to be brief about that. There's a number of things. Yeah, he's very brave to still come, which is amazing. That means that you're not going to lose him no matter what. There may be time that you're going to lose him for a brief period, but ultimately you're not going to lose him, which is really great. So there's a lot of things. You want to make sure that um so one thing completely separate from that, one thing is, as an alienated parent, your role is always to show to your children that you are loving, that you are available, that you are safe, right? Those are the things that you have to, so whatever that you do, and I have to say, it's go do everything with love, like start everything with love, right? So in for example, in industry, right, in workplace, there's this thing where they said, like safety first, right? So when with alienation, it's actually love first. Doesn't matter what you do, how you react, how you respond to your children, even when you discipline them when they misbehave, you have to start with the mindset of love first, right? So even when you disagree, even when you say no to your child, however it is, you have to always start from the place of going, how do I start this with love first? Love is different for you than for your child. Your child is perceiving love differently than how you perceive love. So it's important that you don't just start with love first, how you see love, right? So there's this book about love language. There's 5 love languages that he talk about, like word of affection and quality time and gift giving and things like that. So you wanted to try to understand what is the main love language for your child, so that when you start with love first, you can use the appropriate love language so that your child understand it. So that's the other thing. So the other thing about him is that for him to come over, it's so important for you to let him know that he's safe. As in, he should be able to be free to talk about you in a negative way. He should be free to talk about his um, other parent without you being judgmental, without you being um, just another version of the other parent, talking bad about them and using the child as a weapon. Don't do any of those things, even though it seems so easy, and like the tendency and the urge to just go, oh, he or she is a liar, I didn't do this, and all that kind of things. Don't use your child as your emotional baggage. Don't use your child as your landing. Go and get emotional support somewhere else. You have to be there for your child as a safe place. And don't make the other parents as the evil guy in front of your child, even though they might be truly evil. Don't put that on your child, because your child is now being caught in the middle. It takes a lot for him to be brave enough to be there and come to you. So don't make it harder for him. um I have another point that it just kind of left me right now, so I'll come back to it when I think of it. So anyway, Claudia said they remain the villain. Yeah, the alienators, definitely. Alicia said they attack what you love, so then they can see you suffer, so they can see you. Yeah, definitely. That's a point, right? They will, and this is the thing. They take joy out of seeing you suffer. So the more you in pain, the more you react, the more power they get, the more they're going to act on you, right? So you don't want to be that. You wanted to shelter yourself to the point that it's okay. And so when the best way to respond to a narcissistic kind of behavior or person is really don't engage, don't respond to what gives them joy, right? Because right now you are their supply. They supply for their energy, right? Their ego. So if you're showing that you are in pain and that you are suffering, that gives them some more power and energy, and then that just makes them more powerful, and they just keep doing more to you. But if it doesn't affect you, eventually it will get really boring for them and they will give up. And so it might take a long time, it might take a lot, but the point is, the less you suffer, the harder it is for the alienators to continue fighting. Alicia said yes. Noel said yes. Alexander said acceptance of loss. Yeah. Noel said radical acceptance of the current situation as it is now. Truly nothing to lose at this point. Yeah. Um, yeah, like I wanted to emphasize that it's not, don't just have this sort of like, yeah, I have nothing to lose, but at the same time still you need to still at the same time keeping that conviction, knowing that no one can take away that love that you have for your children, no one can take away your role as a parent, and that life, as short as it is still a very long life. You still have so much more ahead of you, that really you can get your children back. Your relationship between you and your children is for life, and it can be there's still so much more ahead of you guys to rebuild. So don't give up. I have and by the way, thank you for to parents today. I have uh, an adult child, parental alienation, reach out to me, and she said, I'm in my 40, late 30, and I just realized that this is what my mother did to me and my father, and that's the thing. Sometimes it takes a long time. She's in her 40, uh, to finally realize this, but it's not the end. It's not over. So really don't give up. And by the way, she said that people refer her to come and contact me. I really appreciate you guys to refer people to come to me, and to let other parents know to check out our programs, and for other adult children, because I always wanted to understand and hear more this story. I wanted to do more research in this. So really thank you for your support. Mary said she's from Ontario in Canada. She lost all 16 years. She's okay. It's not okay, but I have nothing to lose. I lost it all and sentenced to the streets after prison. Yeah, that's the thing. Imagine that strength, right? You lost everything, and yet you still don't give up the fight. That's the hardest thing. Yesterday I looked at some of the comments from the event yesterday, and some of the parents said, "Oh, this is outrageous. Why do we have to, like, why are you talking like this? Why do we have to suffer? This is unacceptable. What happened to us? And how dare the system allow this happen?" I agree with you. I'm not saying any of this is acceptable. None of this is acceptable at all. I mean, like, really, it's not. I will never say that this is acceptable. If anything, I think that society need to wake up. We need to make changes. So none of this is acceptable. I'm talking about how do we cope with this, and how do we get the strength to fight against this. And it's easy to say I'm just going to give up, and that I'm just going to and there are parents that said, I can't enjoy life. How could I, because my child is this and that. Well, yeah, it's easy to say I'll just give up. Giving up is doing nothing. It's almost like anyone could do that. It takes strength. Like, do you have enough courage and strength to pull yourself together, live your best life for your children, so that you can have the strength to fight against the alienators for your children, rescue your children, be there for your children, be someone that your children admire? Can you do that? Can you be that? That takes a lot more, right? um Alicia said, I have personally had to suffer. I apologize. She wrote, I have personally had to surrender into this to heal. Yeah, surrender is actually a powerful way to heal, and you need to heal. You wanted to fight. You have to be strong. How are you gonna fight if you're not strong? Really. Iris is from Colorado. We have a documentary film coming out, the second documentary film coming out soon, which is based on a story in Colorado. And we've been traveling to Colorado a little bit, and we're still gonna have to go back to Colorado again soon. But it's an interesting state when it comes to parental alienation. I don't suspect that it's much different than any other states, actually. The state is incentivized, really, the industry is like $5 billion worth industry in Colorado alone. And you're talking about why the system is not changing, why the system is not helping the victims. Why should they help you when it's a $5 billion industry in just one state, right? And why the rest of the society ignore this? Why? And these are all very good questions. Okay, and then Kathy said there's a balance to be okay and still function and still continue to reach out. Yes, reaching out is very important. We need to talk about that more. And tomorrow, when we talk about gifting, is one aspect of reaching out. Carolyn said, "My respect." Alicia said, "You are brilliant, Petra. Thank you so much. Really, it really means a lot to have your support, all of you. Really." Um, I will be honest that I was that alienated child, and then I was that alienated parents that I turned my situation around. And so my situation now, I'm so grateful for my situation now. Um, but as an alienated child, the trauma is still sometimes still unbearable. So I really trying to reach out and help and do as much as I can. But honestly, there are times actually I still struggle with really the trauma that is caused to the children. Like your children are the true victim, and at this stage in my life, I still there are days that I'm still struggling with the pain of what was done to me as a child. And sometimes I just want to shut down. Sometimes I truly just shut down the rest of the world and just disappear, and it's not easy. So I understand the pain that you guys are going through. I truly do. So anyway, Kathy said it's more than 17 years for her and she's still trying. Yeah, that's the thing. As parents, we don't give up and we don't get to give up. You need to be there. You still need to be there. Noelle said she truly is. Thank you so much. Nidhi said, I agree. Louis said, that's very true. Of course, this helps with the alienator, but what about the children? Don't you think that will hurt them? That's different. We're talking about dealing with alienators today. Dealing with the children is completely different. We'll talk about dealing with your children more another day. I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier about how to handle your children, but there's a lot when it comes to dealing with your children. Like that's a huge topic. No, we don't deal with our children the way we deal with the alienators, obviously. No, not at all. Niti said taking my control back. Yeah. Donna said my kids are adults now. I'm used to what is needed and alienated from holidays, etc. Yeah. That's the thing. Like whether your children are adult or not, it doesn't make a lot of difference. It's not age. I have interviewed over 200 adult children of alienation, and I found two things. I understand two things. One is that age is not a factor. It doesn't matter how old your children are. Some of the adult children that I talked to were in their 70s, okay, and they still didn't wake up until they're in their 70s. So age is not a factor of having your children waking up. The second thing that I found is that the moment that your child wake up is truly a life-changing moment. It's truly a life-changing moment. Your children are so, I don't want to use the word damage, but that's truly how I felt for me as an alienated child is I felt very broken and damaged. Um, and the moment that you wake up to that reality that, oh, I was alienated and my father was stolen from me, that everything, that's when you realize that everything in your life, how you treat other relationship, how you handle your life, your self-perception, what you choose to give up, what you're willing to put up with, why just so many things. So the moment that you wake up is everything. It's life-changing because then everything going forward, there's so much that you can rebuild and the power that you can get from that. So for parents, don't give up because from that point on, when your child wake up, And we'll talk more in another session about how to wake up the child as well. I also have been doing research on triggers that waking up the child, and it's interesting. It's a very big research. It's not over, but I will share some of that. And yeah, it's a very powerful thing. So don't give up hope. Um, okay. Montana said should gotta cut off. I don't know if she's responded to my question. Okay. Well, the video is still gonna be here, so if you're not here, you can watch it later, Montana. Um, okay, Michelle said it's called radical acceptance. Yeah. Alicia said thank you. Noel, for thank you for the heart, Noel. Thank you. Kathy said no gifts anymore, but always a card. Yeah. You can choose. It doesn't. You don't have to. It's not always about gift. Mary said, I will not give up on my adult kids. After losing it all, the fight is on after he brought me back to court saying I wanted nothing to do with the kids. After he used them to lie to the police and had me falsely arrested to never seeing them again. Um, yeah, it's never over, isn't it? Like, as parents, it's never over. Even when your kids are adults, you still continue to have things that you have to take care of. Um, Michelle said pain is the difference between what is and what you want. Yeah, kind of, isn't it? It's that disappointment, it's that expectation of what you really desire and what you really want and what you can't have, right? That cause that pain. Um, and then fear add to that. Fear is where you're afraid of what else you could lose and what else could happen, right? It add to that. So yeah, it's a very interesting psychology, and it's important to understand that. And alienators, whether they understand it in that literal way or not, that's what they are using to cause you pain. Kathy said, I agree. Oh, my family tradition for 28 years ended. Um, it doesn't have to be over, Kathy. It's so interesting. I want to talk a little bit about family traditions. So I used to do a lot of these things for the kids and with the kids, right? All these family traditions or cooking or certain things or do certain things, right? And then when alienation happened, the kids were brainwashed. So anything that I did was not good enough, right? They laugh at everything I did, and everything that I did was mocked and portrayed as something ridiculous and outrageous, and it's painful. It's hurt to see everything that you did with your heart, getting trash on, right? Getting just to tremble on. So what's interesting though is that once I was able to turn my situation around, um, I started to see my kids bringing up these things with fond memories. They would start to talk about things that I did in the past, and I'm going, that's interesting. It's really interesting to watch because you think, wow, they were laughing at it during alienation. They were really putting me down. And then now that things turn around, they actually were able to recover this memory, and it's untainted. It's not tarnished at all. It's actually come back pure and beautiful. So don't give up on that. Definitely. Michelle said, when we get stuck in how unfair something is, it drains our energy. It's so true, Michelle. Even though it is horribly unfair. Yeah, accepting something doesn't mean that you saying that it's okay, that you forgive. None of those things. That's not the point. It's about taking care of you so that you can take care of your children. Noel said, love first. Despite our deep pain, it has actually helped me with the pain. Yes, yeah. Coming with the attitude when it comes to your children, love first. Yeah, it definitely helped. Mariska said, Christmas morning here in Australia. Merry Christmas, Mariska. Yeah, I used to be in Australia, so I know. I do know. And you have a summer Christmas instead of a winter Christmas. She said, I'm trying hard to focus on the positives. I don't want to ruin my non-alienated children's Christmas. Yeah, you still have other children. They deserve you. They deserve 100% of you. My semi-alienated child called yesterday and wanted to join us for Christmas dinner with the condition that we don't talk about my daughter who has been fully alienated from us for 15 months. I want my whole family and my family whole and healthy again. That's not a bad request actually. Because you don't want to make your child uncomfortable, and I think that's very nice that your child actually makes that request. That means he or she is pretty conscious about the situation, and he or she doesn't want to be uncomfortable. I'm so glad that your child wanted to join you. Semi-alienated child wanted to join you. That's really good. They deserve you. They deserve the whole of you. So really enjoy it. Be there for your children and be fully, wholeheartedly be there for them. Um, Melinda said, I am only female child, but only female child. Jewish and used to celebrate holidays with my children after divorce. But 4.5 years ago, my 27 years old daughter decided to stop talking to me, and then my younger one stopped too. And then after 4 years of dripping love only on their birthdays, last spring I asked if I could visit them while at a wedding in Chicago from Boston. I got a nasty text from my older one and a restraining order from my younger one. We are having a hearing on Zoom in January. Oh my gosh, that's heartbreaking, Melinda. Needless to say, today is depressing. Oh my gosh, Melinda, I am so sorry. Um, that's horrible. Yeah, it's not uncommon. I wanted you to know that you're not the only one that's experiencing this. Still, it's heartbreaking. I'm so sorry. I want you to know though, is that your children are just victims. Your children are the true victims here, and I can't tell you the guilt that I feel when I woke up to what happened, the guilt of how I treated my father when I was alienated and brainwashed. So, have that compassion for your children, know that they are just victims. That no matter how badly they treat you, deep inside they still love you and they still your children. So, I'm so sorry, it's really heartbreaking. But I hope you have enough love to hold you, to keep you in your strength. You're not alone though. Okay? You're not alone at all. I'm really sorry and I apologize. Sorry. Sorry, everyone. Okay, Carolyn said absolutely. Uh, Whoa. Mary said, after listening to my kids and my ex trash me for 6 hours a day for 5 days during the trial, I get my turn after the new year. How do I respond to them with love when I take the stand? Uh, yeah. I mean, talking about fighting in court is a very complex thing. So it really depends on your case. But I mean, you can't be wrong when you just be yourself and truly show that you've always been there for your children, that you have always loved them. I mean, that's how you defend yourself, really. Um, that's how you would respond. But definitely, I hope you have a good lawyer, and I hope that you have a good support system, because fighting in court is not just a battle in the courtroom. It's a battle behind the courtroom in your mind. And if you don't get it here, if you don't stay strong here, you're not going to do well in the courtroom. So, whatever that you do in the courtroom, make sure you take care of yourself mentally. Don't just focus on the case itself, focus on how you handle it emotionally. That's where the strength is. That's how you're going to fight. Iris says, my ex is a district judge. I lost my son, only see him 6 days a month. He's now 7 years old. Oh my God. That's talking about power imbalance, right? Alienators Unfortunately, a lot of alienators are very powerful. Some are ex-cops, some are judges, some are current cops. It's crazy. And your son is 7. He's very young. He's very young. Um, yeah, there's so much more that you need to figure out for your case, Iris, because he's so young. Um, Nihan said society ignores they have no idea what the pain feels like. Yeah, it's such a big problem. It's so crazy. Like there's a study that showed that there are 22 million parents in the US alone. The problem is so huge. And when you look at our society, like any problem out there, it's to do with some kind of childhood trauma, right? You see leaders, society leaders, politicians, you see bosses in the workplace, right? The way that they behave when things go wrong is because you know it's because of their own childhood trauma. It's to do with unhealed pain and brokenness that they experience, and yet the society is ignoring these children when they're going through this pain. And if we can just stop this early enough, we can heal the whole society. This is a very big problem. Iris said, I don't feel hopes with the legal system in my situation. Yeah, so with Iris' situation, because her ex is a district judge, that means that people like anyone that you're dealing with in court are likely his friend or on his side. So there's a bias situation there. Um, I don't know what lawyer you have. And also, like I said before, is that when you're talking about fighting, we're not just talking about fighting in court. You wanted to consider this whole big picture of how else can I fight outside of the courtroom. So you know your position in the courtroom, you know the disadvantage. So is there somewhere else that you can leverage from outside of the courtroom to fight this? And obviously in the courtroom, I hope you have a good lawyer. I hope that you figure out a way. Um, they are not they are not unstoppable though. It doesn't mean that they just have the ultimate power to do whatever they want. There are boundaries that you could potentially set. We fought judges before that made them had to. We actually got. I'm going blank right now. The point is, yeah, we fought these powerful people before, and we have succeeded in some of these cases, especially when these people that in the power position, that they are blatant. That means that their behavior is trackable because they keep doing it over and over again. So then there's a way of fighting those people. Mary said, I have talk therapy twice a week now, and I'm grateful to speak with someone. Yeah, I'm glad that you got that support, Mary. Yeah, everyone of you needs support. It could be in the form of a therapist, it could be in the form of friends or family, but it could be in the form of support groups or, community, like, in like we have a Facebook group called Parental Alienation victim support group on Facebook, for example, things like that. There are places that you can get support, but you do need to make sure that you have support. Louis said, thank you, Petra. I'm very grateful. Thank you. Michelle said it causes developmental trauma in the children. Absolutely. I can speak from firsthand experience. I can speak as a researcher. For those of you who don't know, I'm currently doing research at the University of Tasmania, College of Health and Medicine, doing psychology research on the trauma on children of parental alienation. Um, yeah, definitely, it's caused so much problem in the children. Um, and Noel said, very much looking forward to the talk about the child waking up to understand what's happening. So grateful for these extremely helpful and supportive sessions. Thank you. Thank you so much, Noel. Thank you. Alicia said, I was in my parents' home this summer for the first time in over 10 years. And something as simple as the familiar photos on the wall and the feel of the cutleries from my childhood at the dinner table just flooded me with amazing memories. It really comes in like open floodgates. Yeah, yeah, it can. And that's why, as parents, you don't give up, because and you continue adding to it, right? You don't give up, but you continue adding to it, because like sometimes you could be walking around and then you smell something, like there's a certain smell could bring you back to very vivid moments in your past, right? Or it could be a song, right? So there are these things that are triggers that can bring back. So your love for your children is not gone. It's possible for it. It's entirely possible for it to come back, and it can be fully recovered. Don't give up on that hope. Melissa said, Petra, thank you for being here and speaking the truth always. Thank you, Melissa. Melinda said, I don't blame them. Sorry for make you cry, but thank you for your deep empathy. Thank you. Thank you, really. Mary said, so sorry. That is devastating as he knows the system. Mary is talking about Iris ex being a judge. Mariska said, my daughter did the same thing, and I understand your pain. Yeah. Um, that's the thing, is that sometimes alienated parents don't understand that your children are just puppets. They are just victims of the situation. So their behavior doesn't matter how cold or rude they are. You can't hold that against them. Doesn't matter what age. Like I mentioned, age is not a factor. So you can't say, well, they adult now, they should know, and then you react to them and you you shut off your love for them. That's the worst thing you could do, is being cold and rude and shut them down, because the way they behave. So if you can have that understanding that your children are just victim, and have that compassion for them, then keep that door open, for your children. Michelle said, it seems like the more special the holidays, the harder the attack. Yeah, Michelle, that's the thing, right? It's about the alienators. It's about their need to feed their ego, right? So if the more they see you something special to you, the more powerful that is as a weapon for them to use to attack you, right? Obviously the same with you. Like if you wanted to do something, you wanted to look at the tools that you have, and if you have a tool that really powerful, of course you want to use it. And this is the same with alienators. And unfortunately, that's the thing. um Carolyn said, Petra, have you told a story about how you got your kids back? I don't remember ever seeing, reading, or hearing it. Maybe you're keeping details private to protect your kids. um no, I haven't really shared my story about how I got my kids back. The reason is because they are still children. Obviously, when you deal with alienators, um, you're grateful for every day, but you don't know what else they may come up with. You don't know what might change. And so, because of that, I don't talk about that a whole lot, but I do generalize it, and I do share the general tactics and information with all of you. And then I also do research, and I also help other parents getting their children back, and I do share those as well, not as a personal detail, but in terms of the general strategy and things like that. um but it's amazing. I'm so grateful for what it is today. And there's, like I said, there's no guarantee. The attack can happen again tomorrow, and things could be horrible tomorrow. I don't know. I might lose them again tomorrow. I don't know, and then I'll have to fight again. I don't know, but I'm grateful for what is today. um I remember, um I remember this particular situation. It was so interesting. After I got my children back, and I never tell my children what I do. I don't talk about my work here, with Victim to Hero. I mean, I don't hide it, but I don't really talk to them about it. I don't discuss it. And then so one day, my daughter, one of my daughters, came back from school, and she was so excited. She said to me, "Mom, you know what? Guess what? Today in the class, my teacher said that we um we have to talk about, like, we have to pick um an advocate, somebody that very influential and does something really big and really important and really good. And the teacher said, but you can't pick your parents, because it doesn't matter if your parents believe in something. You need to pick someone that truly have influence and someone that truly make a difference out there. And my daughter said, so I and my friends privately was laughing at the teacher, and she said, because he has no idea the impact that you are doing for people out there. And I was shocked, because I've never talked to my daughters about what I do. I had no idea that she's aware of what I do. And that just blown me away. That was amazing. Um, I have other situation where my daughter's another daughter was, talking with their friends, and happened like within my earshot. Actually, I was driving them, and the friend was talking about their situation at school. And then my daughter said to my friend, to her friend, saying, "Have you talked to your mom? I would talk to my mom." And then her friend said, "Are you crazy? You want me to tell my mom this?" And my daughter said, "Oh, you're right, because my mom doesn't judge." And that's the thing. And I was so grateful. I'm driving. I'm pretending like I'm not hearing that. I'm not listening into their situation, their stories, or their conversation. But to hear my daughter advising her friends to share their problem with their parents, and telling them that I don't judge her. So that is so important, because your children can see, and your children do see what you do, and your children do appreciate what you do, even sometimes they don't say it to you. So anyway, I all I'm trying to say is things can really turn around for you, and I'm just so grateful for what it is today. There's no guarantee of tomorrow, but I'm just taking one day at a time, and constantly fighting, constantly learning, and constantly trying to make things better. um, Carolyn said, I would like to know the details about successful cases, how it was successful, because it was such a slow process and it's so hard to see the big picture in the moment. Yeah, so this is the thing. I got to a point where I thought that I would never ever get them back. I literally surrender and gave up and thought, okay, I'm gonna be okay, accepting that I may never ever hear from them again, that I would never see them again. And then I start from that point, and I fought like hell, and I try to learn so fast, like as much as I can. I took control of my own case. I didn't just trust my lawyers. Um, I'm saying lawyers because I actually had to fire a lawyer and change to a new lawyer who's still not any good. But I took control of my own case. And I'm sure that's not surprising or new for any of you guys. I'm sure many of you have to use multiple lawyers. So anyway, what was my point? Yeah, it wasn't easy. It wasn't, honestly, I didn't think it was possible. At that point, I didn't think it was possible to turn things around. So that's why I want you to know that it's not over. Don't give up. It's Things can turn around really drastically. Talking about successful cases, we have interviewed successful cases of parents that got their children back. So if you look into the videos tab on our Facebook page, Victim to Hero Facebook page, you will see a recording of those sessions where we interview parents that have successfully fought and got their children back, and they talk about their specific cases. So don't feel like we don't have those. There are a lot of successful cases. um Mary said, I brought lots of pictures to the trial, and the kids were smiling, and the judge saw the loves they miss. Oh, that's wonderful, Mary. That is wonderful. Actually, that's one of the things that I did when I was fighting, was actually I print out a lot of these photos of special moment and childhood memories, right? Because one of the things that the kids said during alienation was that they have that I have never done anything with them, that I don't care about them, and things like that. So I printed a lot of these photos and I pinned them around the house. a lot of these like moments. And then sometimes their friends would turn up and they would look at this photo and they'd go, "Oh, you guys did so fun things," and then it does something to the kids because the kids like, "Oh." So the power of the third person. So it's like if I tell you that I love you, right? It means something. It's special. But if someone else go and tell you and said she loves you very much, that third person voice has so much more power than you do yourself, right? So that's why yesterday I also talked about the understanding the power of community and building that community around you to help you recover your children is really important. So anyway, pictures, yes, Mary talked about pictures, and that's really really good. That's really important because you need to help refreshing the memories for your children. Carolyn said, "Thank you for your answer. I hope that you can find a way to tell your story anonymously." Um, so Dr. Stephen Miller, you guys have seen an interview that we did with him. He's incredible. He's amazing. And one of the things that he really wanted to do is actually interviewing me. Um, Honestly, I'm a little bit scared because I've done a lot of interviews with people, but somehow with other people you feel like you could sort of get away with it, right? But with him, I think I'm a bit scared because I know that he will be able to just get everything out, and I'm not sure if I'm ready to be so vulnerable, and in a way I'm scared. But I'm considering it, so I might be doing an interview where he will interview me about my story soon, maybe. So anyway, Alicia said, "Oh, my proud mom moment." Yes, Malaysia said, "Your children do see a lot more than you are aware of." Yeah, very true. I'm so grateful that my children and myself have reunited after 8 years. That's incredible, Malaysia. There you go. Uh, who was just talking? Oh, Carolyn. Carolyn was just talking about wanting to know success story. Melissa have a success story right there. Um, Melissa said, "We are finally spending Christmas together and it has been a long battle." Melissa, if you are comfortable to share your story publicly, I would love to interview you. Um, she said, "I felt like giving up many times. I ended up focusing on becoming the best version of me." Yeah, I learned how to remain calm in the middle of crisis, and I had to begin to love me. See, that is so powerful. That's the thing. Yeah, that's how you fight. You're not fighting by giving up. You're fighting by being powerful. So yeah, really, malicious. If you wanted to share, if you're comfortable sharing your story publicly, I would love to interview you. If you wanted to be anonymous, we could interview you without video, and we could change your name in the interview so that you could share it anonymously. But we would love to share successful stories because really parents need to hear those stories. Carolyn said, another militia, a different militia said, if a court awards the children back to the targeted parents, are the children typically assisted in making that transition when they've lived somewhere else for so long? Um, I don't understand the question. What do you mean by other children typically assisted? Like you mean does the court do anything about it? I don't think the court will do anything about it. The court does the minimum of what they have to do, right? But if you do get awarded your children back, knows that the recovery actually doesn't take much. Because this is the thing, your children are under pressure. They under this chain that control them, right? That forcing them, that brainwash them, and preventing them from loving you. But the love for you is still there. So when this control is being removed, your children love can be recovered fully very easily. There might be some small things that you might still need to take your children to therapy to rebuild your relationship, but a lot of the time it doesn't take much at all. Like you'll see that it's fully recovered almost overnight, really. And I'm not just talking about my case, I'm talking about many cases that I have experienced. Carolyn said that's so wonderful, Melissa. Happy holidays to you and your reunited family. Yeah, that's a wonderful story. Crystal said, what if I have kids that go elsewhere of my family and tell them that they know I love them and they're not mad at me, but yet they are still so very hurtful towards me in person without the other parents around. Yeah, Crystal, that's wonderful. I know it's hurtful when they act that way to you, but ultimately they know, and that's and how they act to you is because of the control of the alienators, even when the other parents are not around. Because the control is in here. It's not because of in front of you. It's not because they're right there. It's the power that took control of them in them. But if they still know and they do acknowledge to other people that you love them and that they're not mad at you, then that's really everything. That means that they do know that you love them, that they do love you, and it's just the matter of time. It just there are ways that you can get your children back. It's a good story. It's not a bad thing, and don't let how they behave affect you because now that you know, especially now that you know that they know, um, you should not let any of the way they behave bother you. Don't take it too hard. Don't take it personally. It's just a matter of they trying to survive. Imagine somebody pointing a gun at your head. You're gonna do whatever that person say, regardless of how you feel, right? So just think of that it that way for your children. Your children just are forced to behave that way. So don't hold it against them. Don't make it harder for them either. Uh Carolyn says, please, Melissa, if you could consider sharing your story with us anonymously. Nihan said, after 3 years, my daughter finally wrote me an email, but she asked me to try to stop contacting her and she's not ready to see me, that she needs time. It's been 3 years. How much time does she need? And ignoring the problem does not solve it. I know that only an hour with her, and that's all I would need. Nihan, so we did an interview with Dr. Joshua Coleman talking about adult children of alienation, where we're talking about how often you should reach out and how long you should leave the child alone and things like that. So if you haven't seen that, maybe check out that video. It's not about giving up completely. It's not, um, yeah, I think that was an useful video, so I definitely recommend that. Um, Carolyn said Melissa is asking about how this abrupt transition is handled. A child who has been openly denigrating you, it's hard to imagine that child will come back to a normal parent-child relationship quickly. Um, so there are programs that do reunification, right, where the court will order the child to go back to you. So, for example, the program by Linda Gottlieb and that kind of program. Um, where they spend, I think, 4 days to help you guys recover. The essence of that program is about rebuilding the power balance between you and your child because your child had been inappropriately enabled to feel like they can be above you, that they can disrespect you. So one of the goal of the program is to rebalance that power and emphasize your role as a parent. Um, so the reason I'm talking about this is because some people may not be able to afford or may not be able to go to such programs. So I'm talking about the substance of those programs, so that if you wanted to find some kind of program or support or do it yourself, you understand the essence of these programs so that you can do it yourself, or you can get other therapists to help in that way. So it's about and those are like family system therapy, right? So they rebalance that power situation to make you empower you. The other thing is to get the child to carry some guilt, to recognize how wrong it was the way they treated the parent, the targeted parent, and also for the child to recognize how outrageous it was that the alienators have abused the child and used the child as a tool, that the child had been the pawn, the weapon. How inappropriate it is for the alienators to use a child as the thing in the middle to hurt you. So that's another goal of that program. And then obviously is this memory recovery, which is talking about, you know, how to rebuild those memories between you and your child, the love and the relationship. So those are the substance of that kind of program. So there are programs out there that you could do. The court doesn't do that. You can request the court to appoint to those programs. So you can get the court to order those programs. But the court themselves obviously don't do anything. It's up to you to do this. Or you yourself can figure out how to, you know, if you just get your child back, how to get therapists that understand this process and can do this. It's important to get the right kind of therapist. We have had discussion about how traditional therapy don't work, that you need someone that truly understands parental alienation, because uh, the traditional therapies is about listening to the clients and reinforcing the client and, you know, empowering the client. So when you have a child that have been misguided, you don't want a traditional therapy where they just keep enforcing the misguided child and empower the misguided child, right? So you need therapists that truly understand, and ideally therapists that use a family therapy system. Actually, you guys can see some of the books here. Like these are some of the books that I have that from Salvador Minuchin's about family, um, family, families and family therapies. You know, things like that. You know, these are all books about parental alienations. And so yeah, you need someone that truly understand that kind of treatment. Um, Okay. Carolyn said it's helpful to hear that transition is swift. Yeah, it's like I said, sometimes you don't need it. The key thing is to remove that control of the alienators, that the child is freely to express their love for you. Um, you know, sometimes you don't need it, and it's fine. Okay, Melissa said yes. My relationship with my children was almost back to normal after a few days. That's amazing. That's great to hear. However, they will need trauma counseling for all the pain they endure while living with their narcissistic father. And that's the thing, right? Um, I will say that that trauma is going to continue for the rest of their lives. And it manifests in so many different ways and so many different aspects of your children's life in the future. How they portray themselves in society, how they behave in their relationship with other people, how they just really everything, their self-esteem, you know, trust and things like that. They're gonna need support in many ways, but the transition between you and your child, like that recovery is a little bit easier than recovering from the trauma itself in their life. um Carolyn said, I'm sure that they will need a new set of tools to deal with the unhealthy parent as time passes. Yeah, for sure. Because so the children will need critical thinking and power of setting boundaries. These are things that children will then have to learn from here on, because they need to have critical thinking so that they know when someone is trying to control and brainwash them, and also power to set boundaries so that they can deal with these alienators or abuser better. Because this is the thing, it's not just about the abusers. Your children have been under the thumb of the alienators with these abusive behaviors. The children tolerated those things, they got used to those things, and what happened is they're going to carry that for the rest of their lives. And so if you don't help them learn to set boundaries, they're going to end up in abusive relationships after abusive relationship, and other people will try to control them. And so they definitely need to learn these like new tool sets. um, okay, Melissa said, yes, I know they will need therapy to help understand and process what they've been through. Thank you for offering your experience and hope. uh, and Melissa said, at present, he has been removed from their lives by child protection. Yeah, if you have a way of making sure that the alienators don't have control over your children, that's really, really important. Uh, Carlin said, has anyone in this group done one of the 4-day programs for reunification? One of the problems with the program is that and I'm being honest here. Hopefully, I'm not getting in trouble for it. It's very expensive. It's prohibitively expensive, and that sort of concerned me. And the lack of it, as in, like, we really need children to have access and families to have access to a lot more help, and yet there's not enough of these successful programs around. Really, and parents reach out to me all the time. Could you recommend, a therapist or whatever? Like, I don't even know where to find appropriate people to recommend to you. There's just not enough good people. There's not enough people that truly understand and know how to handle this, and it's tragic. So yeah, that's a problem. And then when you get some good people, they're so expensive. And I'm not saying that they don't deserve it. I mean, they do deserve to earn, good money for the work that they do. But unfortunately, it's become very challenging for parents. Um, Melissa said they could show their love toward me freely as soon as they knew they were no longer under his dictatorship. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Once you break that control, your children are free, and they will recover really quickly. Um, Melissa said, yes, that's right. The kids are over empowered and entitled and taught by the NAC to disrespect me as a parent. Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing. The abusers, the alienators are so abusive. They don't care the impact on the children. I mean, it's not about just about you. The children are learning this behavior that impacting them in their life. It's really bad. Carolyn said it's not just the cost for the foreign programs. It's also need for the court to order. Yes, yes, you have to get the court to order it. The alienating parents would almost certainly not agree to such a program without a court order. Um, yeah. So there are programs that are not run by therapists. Okay. So when a program is not run by a therapist, it's considered just a recreational educational program. Those you may not need the other parent to approve, right? Because it's just considered like you taking your child to Disneyland. You don't need the other parent to approve unless it's something that written in the court order. So it depends on programs. Some programs you could actually take your child without, if there's no therapist. But if the therapist involved in the program in some way, and it's considered like therapeutic, like some kind of treatment, right? Then that you do need to get approval from court. I mean, it depends on, obviously, like if you have full legal and physical custody of your child, then you don't need the other parent's approval. But if you share legal custody, then you do have to get approval. Mariska said schools, therapists, etc. all empower children, reinforcing the power imbalance and make things worse. Yeah, this is the thing, because people buy in to the stories that the alienators have spread around about you, that you are not safe, that you are not a good parent, that you don't care, that you don't love children, you're not, you're not available, you're not safe, you're not loving. So these people are doing it because, one, they think that they're just doing their job. They want to protect the children, like they have good intent. A lot of people don't actually mean to have bad intent. So if you see a child that you think that the child is being abused, it's natural for you to want to protect the child from the abuser. So in this situation, you have been portrayed as the abuser to your children. So it's normal for schools and therapists to say, well, that parent's bad, you shouldn't be nice to them, right? And so in a way, you kind of can't blame the schools and the therapists so much, because one, like they are misguided, but two is that there's a lack of training and awareness and education for our system. We need a lot more education for schools and therapists and all that, and professionals, people out there. Noel said, so much so without awareness, education, training. Exactly, Noel. Yeah, exactly. There's not enough education, awareness, and training for these people that are dealing with our children, that have impact on our children's life and their future, which is our society, the future of our society. There's definitely a big problem. There's a lack of awareness and education out there. And Melissa said, I'm experiencing this everywhere that I turn. It's so hurtful and painful. Um, we have a session. Have we done that? Now I forget. I think we did it at Easter, last year. No, this year. We did it at Easter, where we talk about uh, how to handle what we call the others. So like society, like schools, doctor offices, neighbors, community, churches. We talk about ways that you can deal with those people, because a lot of the time they are misguided, and sometimes they are flying monkeys. How do you how do you handle them? So I feel like there might be a recording in the videos, but it's possible that it may not be. I'll check, and if it's not recorded, we'll do a session on that. Um, Noel said, "Yeah, we all understand one another here, and it's supportive." Yeah, I'm really glad. Yeah, that's important. You need to surround yourself with people that understand what you're going through, and and that is so powerful, because you need to understand that you are not alone. And if you just look around yourself, your family and friends, the people that are immediately around you, it's very hard to get people that understand this unless if they have gone through it themselves. So when you look around the people that you normally count on for support and they don't get it, it can hurt you a lot more. So don't count on those people when it comes to a situation like this, because it's so unique, and look for the right support elsewhere, like here, in community like this. Oh, yay. Melissa said, I'm willing to share my story anonymously. I have written my story on the Victim to Hero site prior to reunification. The reunification occurred in August. That's amazing, Melissa. That's very recent. That's amazing. Okay. Why don't we figure out okay, I sent you a message, and then we'll figure out how we can share your story. Melissa is gonna share her success story, reunification story, anonymously. So we'll figure that out. Thank you so much. Crystal said, we have tried a reunification per the court. It lasted 1 day, and I thought it went great. The second day, my eldest kept saying he didn't want to do it anymore. The therapist wasn't knowledgeable about alienation. The therapist made sure to have in their notes that the child didn't want to even try. Yeah, this is the problem is you got a court order reunification therapy. You got a therapist that don't understand what reunification is. And then in the meanwhile, the child is still under the control of the alienators, right? So you cannot do therapy while the alienator is still there controlling the child. You cannot do that. The child is not free to do that reunification with you. So that's why a lot of reunification therapy just doesn't work. You need to get the right, like, you have to truly free the child. You need to figure out a way of like fighting it in a different way, and you do need therapists that truly understand parental alienation, because yeah, things can get a lot worse. And I'm really sorry. It happens all the time, unfortunately. um Crystal said, I lost my eldest and my second son. I don't even get any information on them because of the court now. Yeah, it's horrible. um Nihan said, we have to be careful because there's a lot of people that just want to make money off this as well. I look, and there are some program that was 7,000 to 10,000, not feasible for most. I've seen program that even a lot more than $10,000, and honestly, I think that's just crazy. I think like, uh, yeah, I mean, you spend so much money fighting in court, and then on top of that, looking at like more than $10,000 for one of these programs, it's crazy, crazy. And not all of them work. Not all of them are good, and that's terrible. I definitely I think about this a lot. So with Victim to Hero, like, we make no money at all, right? We don't charge you for anything. I It's not sustainable. To be honest, it's not sustainable, and I think a lot about what can I do in a way that can help? Because if we have some funding, we can do a lot with it. What can we offer that would be reasonable, that could be helpful and valuable to you guys, and yet it's reasonable, and then it at the same time help us to be able to sustain this operation? Because right now it's not sustainable at all. Um, but yeah, definitely there are a lot of people that are out there to get you, to take money from you, and it's really tragic. um Melissa said, yeah, school and doctors become flying monkeys. Yeah, it's very common. Nihan said, yes, court appointed therapeutic interventionists who were supposed to help us make things extremely worse, and now my daughters don't even talk to me. Yeah, that's a problem. And this is why like education for parents are so important, because if you know this beforehand, you would be able to hopefully prevent it. A lot of us don't know, right? You just walk in and anything we could get, we hopeful and we thought that's great. We get court appointed therapy. That's great. Reunification therapy, right? But yeah, if we don't get the right people, things can get a lot worse, and that's really tragic. And like we've been talking a lot about how professionals don't get this, so it's really difficult. um Melissa said, I think that a mother who does not have her children is automatically seen as something bad. It is difficult for others to understand that a father could deliberately cut off contact with the mother. However, often it's because they have a new partner, or in my case, lives with his mother, so they don't actually care for the children themselves. Your society is very quick to judge and victim blaming. So, as an alienated parent, people will turn around and judge you and blame you before they understand what really is going on. And this is a very big problem. Society is turning a blind eye um, to the victims, and then they think that that's okay. And while we letting this go, things will just get worse. So things have to change. We're trying to figure this out. We're working on this, but yeah, it's definitely not an easy problem. So anyway, thank you so much, you guys, for being here. Really appreciate all of you. I hope that was helpful. Like I said, I know I talk about something a little bit controversial today, so I do expect that there's going to be attacked. And that's okay. Like I said, it's not for everyone. It's okay. And whatever it is, I hope that you guys are doing well. Please help like and share this. And I'm going to come back tomorrow talking about holiday gifting for the kids. I'm going to figure out the topic for the following days, but I'm going to try to do more videos during the holidays period to help parents that really need it. Because if you could enjoy your holidays, great. Please do enjoy your holidays. But if you can't, if you need us to be here, I'm gonna try to be here as much as I can. So I'll figure out topics for the following sessions and try to do hopefully one a day if we could. So thank you so much. Really appreciate you guys, and really give yourself really a pat in the back for how strong you are. You are a lot more powerful than you realize. Really, for you to going through what you're going through, it's just incredible. So make sure that you acknowledge yourself and do something nice for yourself. I see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.